Hello and welcome back. I'm Anna Delmond. It is August 24th and Sunday. It is day number 98 on my note writing journey, and Sundays mean it is time for me to review the week that has passed. So I need to take a look at day number 92 through 97, and I removed my little notes from my spiky platform. Day number 92, I had a challenge for myself to think through the difference between feelings and facts. Now, our feelings are true, they're real to us. However, that does not determine what the facts are. Sure, it's factual for us, but it's not a fact of an incident, something that took place, and we need to look at the facts to make sure that our understanding of what occurred in a situation is fair and just, and that we are responding truthfully. That's different from the truth of our emotions, our sentiments, our feelings, to responding truthfully, honestly, sincerely to a situation. If we are not assessing correctly, we cannot respond correctly. So our feelings, our personal truth of that sentiment is real to us, but it is changeable. Changeable when we assess the facts fairly and accurately, and that is what the real truth, that is where the real truth lies. That truth, those facts are not changeable. So if there's a discrepancy between the way we're responding to something, we need to change ourselves, our mindset, the way we have viewed something. We need to dig deep and assess fairly and correctly, because we would want people to do the same with us. And if people aren't willing to be fair to us in assessing a situation, then we need to kind of move on. As the Bible says, if possible, as much as it depends on us, be at peace with all mankind. If people aren't willing to be fair and just to evaluate a fact, then sometimes it's best left alone. Unfortunately, that's the reality of life. Day number 93 was to be thankful about things that happened in our lives. And this was in response to me speaking with a friend. And she's been through dramatic health crises in her life many years ago. I've been through very different to hers, but also a health crisis in my own life. Both of us at very different seasons of our lives had major surgery, which gave us a new lease of life and an opportunity. So when you've been given that opportunity, we both agreed it becomes a responsibility. How do I live my life from now on, moving forward, with this opportunity given me? It may be the only opportunity you ever given for anything good to come to life. The opportunity to awaken the next morning with a new lease of life, and what are you going to do with it, with the time given you, the added time to living? That's a true question. So it comes down to your personal appreciation of an event, something beneficial that happened to you or was done towards you, or a kindness. Now, I wanted to understand very deeply, how does God view thankfulness? And if you do a deep dive into the word Old Testament, New Testament, it will come down to being well favored. So when we are thankful, it's because we are well favoring God for what He has allowed for us. And it is because He has well favored us, allowing us to have a circumstance for which gratitude is our only response. Now, you may think it's the universe that's done this for you. Whatever your understanding is, this is God's world. He created it. He made it. He ordains all things, and ultimately He brought things together in His sovereignty, His providence, to allow for that. So that is our vertical thankfulness, and then the horizontal is relational between us. However, true expressions of horizontal thankfulness are grown, are deepened when we have a true vertical understanding of thankfulness. That was so important to me that on day 94, my note to myself was more thankfulness, let's go vertical. A greater view of God, to position Him where He should be in our lives, reigning over our souls, our eternality, which our souls are eternal. Where are we going to be ultimately, eternally? That's the greatest moment, aspect of life, where the greatest gratitude should be. So when we are thankful to God for his sovereignty, his providence, it comforts us through knowing and understanding his presence in our lives. It keeps us God-centered and focused on him through great difficulties. And if you're going through a very bad time in your life, we all do. We've all been there. I've been there, where the only thing that I could look to and be grateful for was knowing who God was and that he was mine. If that is the only thing that you are able to be thankful for in life, that is the greatest thing to be thankful for in life. And it will allow you to look at your circumstances with the wisdom from his word and assess correctly, and then equip you to respond appropriately in very bad situations. So when we are thankful to him, it allows us to be free from emotional interpretation of the reality we are living in. And it allows us to clear out wrong thinking and stop trigger thoughts, and helps us to focus our thoughts on him. It stops the down spiraling of the negativity of our thoughts, which could put us into depression. He encourages hope in our thankfulness, allows for more positivity, which shapes you, shapes me, and shapes our relationships. Thankfulness does away with envy, jealousy, pride, self-righteousness, and fortifies our soul and our psyche. I can be thankful for somebody else's experience in life and the remarkableness and the wonder of what they are going through, or what they've experienced in the history of their lives. And I can think it's great. Because I would have liked that too is no reason for me to be jealous or envious. I have things in my life which are remarkable too, very different from their experiences. And it shouldn't be a position for envy or jealousy. It should be an opportunity. When you see something somebody else has, it's like, good for you, wonderful. I'd like the same in mine. I'm going to try and work towards it and see what I can achieve, and trust God with the outcome, whether he allows it or not. So it establishes joy and a heart of blessing for what God has done for you and for others. Day number 95, my focus was on the here and now. Right here, right now, what are we doing about change in our life? What do you do about the history of events, irrespective of how far back they are? It could be a week ago, 5 years ago, 20 years ago. What do you do with them? Do you dig them all up and review them and rehearse them? That possibly could open you up to depression. So the answer in counseling, different philosophies of counseling, is yes and no. It depends on where you are. Sure, if you emotionally and you strengthened and you functioning well, you may want to take a moment to look back and evaluate honestly things that occurred in your background, even if it was in your childhood when you had no control over it. However, there does come to a point when you're trying to work on change where you look back and say, that was ugly, awful, and horrible, and you know it was. I'm not going to go back and try and address and understand what happened. I want to be responsible for today and tomorrow. I know that's my baggage, but I'm not taking it beyond this point. I will go unpack it sometime, but not today and not tomorrow. I'm turning and I'm moving forward. That's what your focus should be, to bring about the changes. It can be done. We need to do it. So day number 96 was active gaslighting. And the old-fashioned term for it is a manipulator, a deceiver, and an imposter. How long, often we ask ourselves, do we need to be subject to somebody like that, and humor them and tolerate them And that's a very sad question. Sometimes the best thing is just keep moving away and moving on, because no matter how you try to deal with them, all you're doing is giving them more fuel for gaslighting fire. And you don't want them. More tools to turn it all around and show you up as being some nasty person, which is not what you were and are and will be. All you've wanted to deal with them, the circumstances, is honestly and fairly and correctly and justly. However, their image is more important, and a manipulator is highly skilled, dishonest, and emotionally controlling. A deceiver, in my understanding, is somebody who is habitually, intentionally living out that life. That's all that is their function, the way they function. They don't know any different, and they believe it's okay because of their cultural belief that they're the leaders, they're in control, and so therefore it is their right. And they'll even take that as a biblical understanding when it's not. That's called syncretism, friends. When somebody takes habits, beliefs, traditions, cultural experiences, and equates it to a biblical truth, and then says the way they behave because of that is correct. It is not true. That is not what they are. Informing what the Bible says rather than the Bible informing what they are. Stay away from people like that. How long are they going to function that way? The correct response to that is God alone knows. Why he allows it is maybe for you and me to get stronger and know who he is and stand firm on the truth, irrespective of what falls down or what nastiness goes on around us. So day number 97, which was Saturday, yesterday, was keep reminding me. I just had one of those days where I had a flat, melancholy moment, and it was, I'm working so hard at all of this, and what's the outcome going to be? Well, that's not the correct mindset, right? The outcome isn't mine to own, it's mine to work towards, honestly, sincerely, and with all the hopes and desires, the strength, the intellect, the whatever God has given me to work towards it, and entrust whatever it is to him. Maybe it's just a greater journey of trusting him and living for him, for his glory through it all. I don't know, but I need to keep going. So we have an active or a responsive agenda for our restructuring of life. A responsive agenda is that you just go with the flow each and every day. You know you've got to get up, you know you've got to do coffee, you know you've got to do breakfast, you know you've got to feed the cat, you know you've got to clean the kitchen, you know you've got to vacuum, you know you've got to mop, and you just go through the motions. Sure, that's what we need to do in life. However, if you have a goal that you want to achieve, you need to wake up and say, okay, this morning I need to make my coffee. I need a fueling breakfast, not a donut every day of the week. I have sugary breakfasts on Saturday and I love it. It's my treat of the week and I enjoy it. So I'm not, when I say no donuts, I'm just saying choose your breakfasts, what's going to fuel you for the outcome you want for that day. It will serve you well if something comes to interrupt your day, and you then have the energy to move forward without having sugar crashes, etc. Whatever it is for you, have a good breakfast, plan your morning. If it's to mop and vacuum and mop, clean the kitchen, sure, do that. Then get onto the thing that you're planning to work on or do towards your future. Whatever that is, structure it. It doesn't mean if you diarize and you itemize each thing throughout your day, if something happens and you're not able to complete it, you throw in the towel, say, well, I tried that, it doesn't work, I'm not doing it again. Not at all. You deal with the distraction, whether it be for an hour or 5 or 6 or the rest of your day. And at the end of the day, you look at your little note or you review your mental note and say, I woke up with the right attitude this morning. I had my coffee, I had the healthy breakfast. Sure, I didn't know my day would not be going in the direction it ended up going, but that fueled me for the day, and I had a good day. I'm going to do the same tomorrow. You may not have the same distraction tomorrow. You may be able to achieve all the things you set out to do You may have another distraction in the afternoon. You always get back on track. So when you have a plan and a strategy for what you want the outcome to be, no matter what the distractions are, you always come back to what's important and the goal you want to achieve, which is a more blessed, a more sweeter, and a more functioning life for yourself. I certainly want that for me, and I'm grateful to have the energy to be able to do that. And that's a gift of God. It is my responsibility to be thankful and grateful for every opportunity given me, and that's a new day. So until tomorrow, take care and God bless. And it's day number 99 tomorrow, almost at 100. Bye-bye for now. God bless.